As many of you may already know, I am not interested in knitting fingering weight sweaters. I've said it before, it's going to take a lot from a design to get me motivated to cast on such small needles and with such small yarn. But with all of that considered, today I'm going to be sharing with you 9 fingering weight sweater patterns that may have what it takes to inspire even me to cast onto a fingering weight sweater. So grab your project, something cozy to drink, and let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Wool Needles Hands Midweek Ramble. My name is Taylor, and I'm going to be your host today. I'm really excited for today's Midweek Ramble because we're exploring a topic that to me is one that's not really been explored much because I have very little interest, or I should say I have had very little interest in casting on to fingering weight sweaters for various different reasons, and you can listen to me ramble all about that on the Unpopular Knitting Opinions Part 1 video. I'll link to it here, but you can also find it by just scrolling back in the videos. I want to say it was 5 videos ago. It's been a pop in place in the comment section, a lot of fun to watch just in general, but you can hear me talk about my opinion about fingering weight sweaters over there. But as you may know, I'm just not into them. And so I decided that from that perspective, I wanted to compile a list of designs that actually have me somewhat to really inspired to cast onto a fingering weight sweater, and I want to share those with you because it's going to be fun just to look at some really cute sweater designs. But if you're anything like me, this may also be something that is a jumping off point to start negotiations with the whole idea of knitting fingering weight sweaters. So that is what we're going to be doing today. I'm really excited to get into it. But when I chose these designs, my jumping off point was visually what appeals to me visually, aesthetically, and then I would tap into the pattern page on Ravelry, read a little bit about it, not go too deep with the pattern because I wanted it to be that initial reaction to the design visually. I would read things like the construction, if it's something that, despite being fingering, if the construction is something I would be interested in knitting. So all of those things are taken into consideration. I think I only purchased from these, I think I've only purchased or have in my library 1 or 2 of these. Other than that, it's just that initial reaction. Okay, so the way that I'm going to do this with you guys today, we're going to get right into it. I'm going to do this in a way very similar to some of my previous midweek rambles where I do a screen grab of what I'm looking at on my tablet. So I have the Ravelry app up on my tablet right now to my favorites. So I will be looking at this, talking with you, and you will be able to see what I have on my screen as well. I'm a visual person. You may realize this if you've been watching the podcast for any length of time. I like visuals. I'm hoping it's helpful to you guys. All right, so I just pressed record on my screen. So we are now seeing the same thing on the screen. And what you're looking at here is, this is my favorites. And these are just, they're not bundled at the moment. This is just the most recent things that I favorited all the way down to the oldest things that I favorited down the line. And what I'm going to do is go up here to this little filter, and I want to filter this using the advanced search. I tap on that. Now you can see I already have it filtered out. So up here at the top, it shows pattern category sweater, weight fingering, and favorited by me. So these are only going to be patterns that I have favorited, broken down to sweaters and fingering weight. So now we are filtered. What we are looking at right now are fingering weight sweater patterns that I have favorited. These are all of the ones I have favorited, but what I'm sharing with you today are my top 9. I have those listed here. So these are the ones that I am most interested in casting on should I get the, urge or free up the time to cast on another sweater. All right, so we are going to start with number 9 on my list, and it is called Burning. And it is by Rachel Ilsley, and it is right here. Okay, so this is the Burning sweater. It sounds weird calling it that, but there's a really good reason why she calls it that, which is also a really good reason for me choosing this sweater, not to mention just a really lovely color work design here. So you can see it's a nice semi-cropped design, pretty shallow ribbing at the end of the sleeves, around the neck. It's kind of a delicate ribbing, but what I like about that delicate ribbing around the neck is that it's a twisted rib, so it's going to give it some really good structure. You're not going to have wonky stitches up there because sometimes I feel like when you have a really shallow 1x1 rib with a fingering weight yarn, it can kind of look a little bit wonky, but this is a twisted rib, and I appreciate that because it does have a little bit of structure around the neckline. Same thing with the cuffs and the hemline, and it's really lovely. It does not look like those sleeves have any shaping, which I like. It kind of gives it a real open look, and then it decreases down at the end, giving it kind of a nice balloon. I don't even know if you would call that a balloon sleeve, but it's open and then kind of cinches in where the cuff is. And I like that. The only thing I don't love about the sample that I'm seeing here, and it's just me, I don't love these colors. I'm not drawn to pale pink. It's just not my thing. I don't really love the 3 colors put together. I would have chosen any other 3 colors, but I can get beyond that because I just really love the design. I think the design has this beautiful simplicity to it. And then here's what else is really cool. I love a good musical reference. This design is actually inspired by the music of Ludovico Einaudi and the composition Burning. The composition Burning starts with a minimalist 3-note melody that gradually develops and builds in complexity, a structure that is reflected through the use of texture and color work in this design, which I like that because I feel like a lot of really lovely, crescendos are very popular in classical music and orchestral music, and I think that's what she's referring to here. And so she increases the complexity of the design using the texture and the color work of this sweater. I just really appreciate that. It says you can see the simple 3-note melody reflected in the 3-round texture at the top of the yoke. Yeah, I see it. Which then develops and becomes more complex in pattern and through the addition of color as the design progresses. Yeah, that's really cool. I like how in the beginning of the sweater you see just that very pale pink, and then there's some of that gray, and then we start adding color, and then the color becomes more complex. You start seeing kind of an even distribution of color. I like that. I just love a good non-visual reference inspiring something very visual and tactile. I mean, we don't feel with our hands music and we can't see it really, but we hear it and we experience it, and to be able to take that kind of an experience, which is not, a visual one, and to put it into something very visual, I think that's really special. So number 1 on my list is the Burning sweater, and this is a design by Rachel Ilsley. Loving it. It's in my favorites. It's my number 9. Okay, moving on to number 8, and this is one that falls into that color work category. And actually, when we were having this conversation in the unpopular opinions video comment section, a lot of folks were saying, well, what about color work sweaters? And yes, absolutely. I feel like that's kind of a caveat in my opinion about not really wanting to knit fingering sweaters, or feeling like they just don't have enough to make me want to knit them. Color work cables texture, yeah, that kind of changes my opinion a little bit, especially with color work, because a lot of color work sweaters are knit with fingering and DK weight yarn. So I get it. And it's funny because in my favorites for a long time now has been this next sweater. And this is the Varda sweater. Look how beautiful that is. It looks like it's machine knit. And I mean, of course, that's because of the really lightweight yarn, but I love the neckline here. I love that color work design. It's simple, 3 colors, beautiful. Just loving this sweater. Okay, moving to the pattern. I can't find it very easily because it's not listed here. And so what I ended up doing, and we can do it together here, I scrolled all the way down, and do you see there's another one here, this blue Varda? I went here and I found the pattern because this is the same sweater. So it says it's $6.50 US on this website. So you go to this website, I'm assuming that's issue.com, and here is the magazine publication where this pattern is published. Yeah, I don't know, it doesn't have like an add to cart option, unless I'm just missing something. But anyway, that is my number 8 sweater. I wish I could figure out an easier way to find this pattern. If you know of one, please leave me a comment down below in the description box. I would love to know. But that is the Varda, and it is a design from Rauma, which is a yarn company. And it's beautiful, and it's fingering weight. And it's honestly, it's one of my favorite fingering weight, or one of my favorite color work sweaters in general, and I've had it in my favorites for a long time. So Varda, number 8. Okay, so the next one is by My Favorite Things Knitwear. She has, I believe she's a Danish designer. Yeah, she's in Denmark. And her name is Louise. I love a lot of her designs. Very simple, kind of that classic look, I guess. And this is one of those. It's very easy to throw on. Super sheer, so you have to be wearing something underneath that, unless you're using a yarn that is not like mohair like this. I feel like she's pairing two, yeah, this is the first yarn she has listed, and this is the second yarn she has listed. And I think she's holding 2 strands of mohair together, and I haven't read to know for sure. So let's just see if I go down here. Material, the sweater is knitted with double thread of Angel from Permine, which is a double thread mohair. So, you know, that's gonna make your fingering weight yarn. So I guess you could just knit it with a fingering weight yarn that's not mohair, and it might be a little less sheer. So there are options, but it's more the design of the sweater that I really love here. I love that it's using that twisted rib neckline and hemline. You can see that here a little bit. You can see that a little bit better here. It has just a really delicate kind of raglan construction, bubble sleeves that are 3/4 length, which I like too because it's a lighter weight sweater. So this one has me intrigued, really intrigued actually. Okay, the next one is one that it's probably the first one after having created the unpopular knitting opinions video where I started having these conversations with folks about fingering weight sweaters. It is the one that caught my attention after that, and I was like, okay, well, maybe this will be the one. It's called the French Coast, and it is by Nadia, so it's a French name, but I believe it's Nadia Crétin-Leschamps. I like to imagine that I could speak French one day. I love this sweater. Beautifully simple, classic V-neck kind of shape and design. Not cropped, but not too long. It doesn't look like there's an insane amount of shaping on the sleeves, if there's any, but I do like the drop shoulder here because of those horizontal stripes. I think it kind of gives it a really cool visual, like as the stripes fall off the edge of the shoulders. And I like the other versions, like this one, for example, is really colorful. That's super fun. You could have a lot of fun with the different stripes and the different colors that you use. This person didn't do any stripes at all, which is completely great because now you have a really awesome sweater silhouette and you can just do it in solid, you can do it in stripes. You could add a really pretty colorwork motif to the bottom of that. The modification options here are plenty. Loving that. Again, this is French Coast, and it's available both in English and French. Okay, this next design falls into that textured category. The texture of this sweater is what drew me in, and this is just so nice and classic, but still gives you that visual interest and maybe a little bit of that extra thermal, you know, the thermal benefits of having that texture. And this is called the Barnsley sweater by Cheryl Makhtari. I hope I'm saying that right. And it's beautiful. Look at this texture. Look at how the texture is also being used in the raglan seams. How just simple but well thought out that is, and just really well executed here. It's so beautiful, and with that nice halo from the mohair, it's just really great. She's wearing it in this picture with what looks to be like cozy sweatpants, and I'm all about sweaters with sweatpants, kind of like today. It's one of those days outside. Stormy, gray, and cold. And that neckline, it's a beautiful rib neckline and it's doubled over. And I just love a doubled over like neckline that's sewn in on itself. Loving that, loving the raglan. I mean, that raglan seam action is fantastic. It's got my name written all over it, folks. And I love the color. Fantastic. So this is the Barnsley sweater by Cheryl Makhtari. Mokhtari. Okay, searching for the Gisella by Philippa Carneiro. It is a fingering weight yarn, but it's knit using a size US 7, which is a 4.5 millimeter needle. But I don't care. I think that's great because you get this really floofy fabric that's nice and lightweight, can be worn here where I live, where it gets pretty hot in the summertime in southern Nevada. You can wear that like quite a bit of the year. So that's really beneficial to me. Scrolling through, looking at the different sample patterns or sample projects that people have knit, and it's beautiful. I don't love the way this looks buttoned. I very rarely to never wear a cardigan buttoned because I just feel like that's not why you wear a cardigan, in my opinion. And when I say that's not why you wear a cardigan, it's why I don't wear a cardigan. Relax. I love the way that this looks as an unbuttoned cardigan, which is funny that I say that because there's actually no photos here of it unbuttoned. So where did I even see that? I think I'm just assuming because I just really love the design. Yeah, I just know that when I look at this, if you had it unbuttoned, it would just be a really nice, easy throw over sweater. And I love those sleeves, and I love the beautiful light weight of that fabric. Okay, loving that. So that is Gisella. And that is by Philippa Carneiro. Okay, moving on to the next on my list, number 3. This is a design that I actually saw a few years ago. And what is this, 2020? This is Pom Pom Quarterly 2018. Wow, a few years ago. This Pom Pom Quarterly issue had the Lento sweater. And I'm just going to pull it up here. So pull it up. I'm going to flip through to it here and show it to you in the magazine. And then I will show it to you on my tablet. Where are you? I know it's in this one. You know what? I don't think it's in this one. Wait a minute. Hold the phone. Okay, I think it's actually in this one. Let me make sure. Oh, I'm gonna be so annoyed if it's not even in this one. I could just be showing you on my tablet, but I'm committed now. Okay, I don't know, but I'm just gonna show it to you on my tablet. It's in one of these. Issue 11 of Lynam. Hold on. Okay, yeah, it's this. I found it. Don't worry. It is the, there's coffee on this. Summer 2021. There we are. Okay. Now, this is the Lento. And it was in Summer 2021 or issue 11 of Lina magazine. It is by Jonna Heitela. It is, she is the editor-in-chief of Lina magazine. I did not know that. I know that now. But it's a lovely sweater. The first time I saw this, I think I even posted like a little reel on my Instagram that I really loved it. It's very simple construction. It's just a top-down raglan, essentially, with 3/4 length sleeves. You can see more of the photos here. Yeah. Super, super cute. This is knit, I want to say, in La Bien Aimée single ply. Oh, she paired this. Hold on. Maybe this is a DK weight sweater. She is using merino single and she's holding Surrey. Thought that was mohair, sorry. Guys, this one has to be out of the running because this is a DK weight sweater. I had this in as my fingering weight sweater as well. Whatever. Okay, it's still a really beautiful sweater. The Lento by Jonna Heitela. Knit using La Bien Aimée. She's pairing a merino single with a Surrey, silk Surrey floofy yarn held together. DK weight sweater, but now you know, and now I want to knit it even more. Okay, so we're still going to move on to number 2. I'm not going to add another sweater in. It's, you know, it is what it is. There's no police coming for my top 9. So number 2, this one is, this one's really cute. We're going to go back here. Okay, this is called the Night Heron by Andrea Gaughan. Again, we have stripes, more stripes. But what I really appreciate and love about this design is that you're getting those horizontal stripes that are kind of that classic, you know, French look, kind of nautical look, which I really love here. But you're also getting these really cute vertical stripes from the color work that's happening here. It's almost like a corrugated ribbing look. And I think that's cool. It's very visually interesting. I love it. So this is called Night Heron. This is by the designer Andrea Gaughan. Top down seamless, in the round. It's got some positive ease, which I love. It's really, really pretty. And it has, because of that color work going on in there, and you have 2 different colors, it has texture to it. It has a little bit of that kind of substance that I was making comments about in the opinions video being kind of lacking in that area. And this has it, and it's really lovely. I like the high neckline too. You could sub out that collar if you wanted for a nice rolled and sewed down neckline if you wanted something like that. I think it would look really pretty. But even if you left it like this, I think the way that she designed it to kind of come up higher on the neck is really flattering, really nice, kind of creates that nice cascading circular yoke over the shoulders. So pretty. This is the number 1 on my list here. This photo... Okay, the initial design caught my interest, and then I opened up the design or the pattern page and started scrolling through the photos, and it was this one photo and the colors used in the overall photo, but in the sweater as well, that hooked me. It was like hook, line, and sinker. This is going into my queue sometime soon because it's just gorgeous, especially in this color or these like colors. And this is the Corellia by Midori Hirose. So it's right here, the Corellia. Now, it's a fingering weight sweater, but if you look at this yarn here, it has like texture and toothiness to it. It doesn't look, you know, flimsy. It looks really lovely. The only thing about this that kind of gives me pause is that this looks to me like it's Intarsia. Estonian. There's something about this technique here. And again, I have not read all of these in detail to be able to be an expert on the design. This is, again, initial impression. And that to me looked like Intarsia, and now I'm wondering if it's something else. It says this pattern is my second collaboration with Kokon Yarn. The flower motif is worked not as embroidering, or Intarsia like I was thinking, but as weaving between the stitches while knitting. It is traditional Estonian technique, and it's called ruusamin, which means rose in Estonian language. It's really beautiful, and I've never heard of that before. I was under the impression it was Intarsia or some kind of an embroidery, and now I'm super intrigued because that is gorgeous. This blue one is pretty. This brown one here with this color scheme going across the chest is remarkable. That just captures your attention. It looks like just a super high dollar expensive garment. I wish it had longer sleeves, but this is obviously an intentionally short sleeve sweater, but it's beautiful. But you guys, look at that. Do you see that? That gorgeous like wine red kind of brown color there with the gold like dots in that shape, and then that it's so good. It's so beautiful. And then the composition of this photo in general, that really pale gray background, everything about this, that is stunning to me. That I think is, and that's why I placed it in the #1 position. It was the one where it's like, okay, I get it. I'll knit that design because that is just gorgeous. So that is the Corellia by Midori Hirose. And those are the designs that I have found and I have actively searched. You guys kind of not inadvertently challenged me, but inadvertently challenged me to explore fingering weight sweaters for the purpose of casting on or for the purpose of knitting one in the future. And I've done that, and I have found these ones that I felt were just enticing, inspiring to say the least. In the photo that I posted on the community tab or over on Instagram, I also featured an additional 9 sweater designs that are fingering weight. And I mentioned in the post, like, these are not the 9 I'm going to be talking about, but these are runners up. Those are also really gorgeous sweaters. If you go to the community tab, you can see that post, and I link to those as well. A lot of those you might be familiar with, but these are the ones that I felt like were the most inspiring, not only for their designs, like I mentioned, but also because a lot of these designers I had never heard of. They're new, and I think that's cool too. So that's what I have. If you have any other suggestions of fingering weight garments that I definitely need to look into, or that anybody needs to look into, link to them or comment with their names down below. You can add a link in the comment section, and it makes it really helpful for people to just link away and see the design. But even if you just put the name and the designer's name or whatever, do that down in the comment section. Let's start a conversation about some really great fingering weight designs, maybe some that are lesser well known, maybe some that come from newer designers, so that people are getting a variety. Not that there's anything wrong with the really well-known ones. I love a good, Andrea Mowry design, but just let's see if we can add some variety, some spice down there, maybe some things that people haven't heard about. That's always fun. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to hang out with me here today. It has been lovely sharing all of these with you. I hope that some of this was able to inspire you or provided you with some information on designs that perhaps you weren't familiar with, and that you might be inspired to knit yourself in the near future. If you enjoyed yourself or took anything away from this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also subscribe for more content. All of this helps more than you can possibly imagine. You can also show additional support for the Wool Needles Hands channel by visiting the Wool Needles Hands merch shop. We do have a merch shop for the channel. It is linked down below in the description box. We have cute t-shirts and bags, really adorable coffee mugs. This coffee mug with this kind of, I don't know, sassy remark and beautifully disinterested lady on the front. This is a painting by yours truly. This is also available in the shop. Just cute things like this. And that also helps to support the channel, and it means so much to me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I look forward to seeing you guys on the upcoming episode of the podcast, which is coming out on Sunday, episode 62. Until then, be well, happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.